I want to understand how you, Shehzad Poonawalla, a Modi critic, becomes a Modi supporter.
Right. Actually, my original surname, a lot of people don't know, it's not Poonawalla.
Then?
It is Jamadar. We used to be a very religiously oriented family. My father was the community leader for the entire country for the Aga Khani sect. My mother is obviously a very practicing religious person. She continues to go to the mosque every day. And when I was young too, I used to go to the mosque every single day. My mother feels that I should be more generous in terms of letting go of things on air, and I should allow the elder brother to get away with some. But I tell my mom that, even in the Mahabharata, it was essentially fought against cousins. Yeah. If Arjun was not to listen to Shri Krishna, then you would have had the Kauravas win. So for the Pandavas to win, sometimes they have to listen to Shri Krishna and not their mom. I have taken a conscious decision that I will probably never have my own child. If at all, I will have an adopted child. Selected by whom? By Sonia Gandhi. Who do you think they're going to pick as delegates? Obviously, those people are going to say Jai Rahul Gandhi. So where was the election for the delegates? There were no elections for the delegates.
When you were in the Congress and you still believed in the Congress model, did you ever have a proper conversation with either of the Gandhi siblings?
Yes. I told them that we can't go on with this kind of system. And I also went to the extent of saying that neither of them should play a pivotal role in the Congress party going further.
You said this to their face?
Yes, of course. Ever since I said that, there was only a manner of distancing me from every platform where people are not lynched and killed. Where is Rahul Gandhi's tweet? Where is the tweet of any of these worthies who want to save democracy? And ironically, in Bengaluru, they will be meeting the same Mamata Banerjee against whom Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary is railing. He's saying Mamata is killing democracy in West Bengal.
You used to call yourself a Nehruvian.
Right.
What changed? Or would you still say? Because I don't think Nehru's legacy is owned by any political party.
That's right.
Right?
No,
would you still call yourself a Nehruvian?
Well, I would call myself Nehruvian, I would call myself Gandhian, I would call myself Chandrasekharian, I would call myself Devgaudian, I would call myself Modian.
Shehzad Poonawalla, let's start at the very beginning.
Yes.
Why politics?
Because I think that in order to make change, societal change and change that will have an impact, you need to be in politics. That's where you can drive policy. That's where you can actually influence people. And that's where you can actually use the medium of politics to transform people's lives, as is being done by the Prime Minister right now when he reaches out to millions of families who are poor and gives them social welfare and gives them an aspirational level of living. That wouldn't have been possible had Narendra Modi been running an NGO. So therefore you need to be in politics, because only through politics, through the instrument of politics, can you make real social change. I don't believe anybody who says that I will stay outside politics, or they mock politics, or they have a cynical view about politics. They're entitled to do so, but you can't really make that lasting impact and change unless you are in politics.
Do you sometimes feel cynical about politics? Because after all, it is political differences that in a way destroyed your relationship with your brother Tehseen Poonawalla. Before that, at the very beginning, both of you as brothers arrived to the national capital together. You both started your political journey with the Congress. It is only when you diverged and went your own way and forged a different path that relationship broke. But sometimes people say कि भाई business और family को mix मत करिए. Do you sometimes think that politics broke your relationship with your brother?
I think you can't blame politics for that. For that, you have to blame both of us. If at all, we both have handled or mishandled our relationship in such a way that the relationship couldn't go beyond our political differences. There are many people who have severe political differences and stay in one house. I believe Ashutosh, I was listening to his interview, and I think his brother has a completely different view than
his brother is a Modi fan and he's a Modi critic.
But they managed to salvage or keep their relationship. I think Tehseen and I both are adults. We both know what paths we want to pursue. I am very clear, though, that my political instincts and leanings and principles can't be put under any other relationship. For me, my commitment to my country and its political principles is far more important than my commitment to the parivar. So I put people and desh above parivar. He's loyal to the parivar. I am loyal to what I believe is good for the country.
Do you talk to your brother at all?
We don't talk on a regular basis at all. Actually, we've not spoken for many years now. But of course, when he recently delivered a baby boy, he and his lovely wife, Monica. So obviously, I congratulated them, and I got an opportunity to see my nephew. So that bit, yes.
And how did he reciprocate?
You mean the nephew? I don't think Tehseen wasn't around when I went to see his little boy, but I'm sure that I think Tehseen is a good person. He's a good human being, perfectly fine. He's very nice. People tell me that he's a very nice person, etc. And I too agree with that. But the fact of the matter is that what do we fundamentally disagree about? What we fundamentally disagree about, and we disagreed about it even when I was in the Congress, is that I don't feel that the Gandhi family or the larger Congress's way of running things, where it is very family oriented, is the way to do things. I said this even while I was in the Congress. In fact, I paid a heavy price because while I was in the Congress, I used to make these points known, and therefore many positions or many opportunities that were due to me were never given to me because I had that view. So I have paid a price while being inside it and while raising my voice, and I continue to stand by that principle when I'm outside.
Shehzad, we now know you as one of the most eloquent, impactful and deeply researched spokespeople of the BJP. And we'll come to how and who does your research a little while later in our conversation. I want to take you back to those years when you were in the Congress party. You had a chance to work closely with at least 3 Congress leaders that I know of. Digvijay Singh, Rajiv Shukla and Manish Tiwari,
yes.
Right? Did you at that time believe in the Congress philosophy? You and your brother were even in the war room for the Congress party in the UP election, in the UP Assembly election at one point.
Right.
We'll get to why you left later. But when you first joined the Congress, when you first worked so closely with these 3 leaders, what did you feel at that time about the Congress party and what tipped it for you?
Why did I join the Congress party first? To even work as part of it in the student wing or the youth wing. Many years ago, when I was just a teenager in school, at that time when you read history textbooks and when you read a lot of things, you feel that the Congress party was the sole champion of the freedom movement. It has a deep impact on anybody growing up. And with that limited knowledge, one always feels that if a party or if an organization has done so much to attain us freedom, you are influenced by that, and therefore you want to join and contribute in the nation building process. You're obviously reading about Mahatma Gandhi, you're reading about other leaders of the Congress party, and therefore you join that organization to contribute in that same spirit. But even when I joined the Congress party and when I worked with these leaders, I would make it very known that it has to be talent that is recognized, because whatever I had read or learnt about the Congress party, it was always a talent-driven party. You remember when Mahatma Gandhi and Lokmanya Tilak and all these stalwarts were in the Congress, they used to have elections. They used to have elections between Mahatma Gandhi, Lokmanya Tilak, Abdul Kalam Azad, Subhash Chandra Bose ji. But that entire process post the 70s took a downturn. Now, when Rahul Gandhi entered politics, he told a lot of us that he would bring it back to what it was originally, that he would allow merit to prevail, that it would not be surname or it would not be Papa's name, but it would be capacity and talent that would dominate. But then, after giving him 10, 12 years to work at it, because the Congress is like a Titanic, it takes time to steer the ship. Nobody's expecting, and literally it's meeting the fate of the Titanic, or perhaps even the submersive. But having said that, one gave him ample amount of time to actually make those things possible. But what I felt and what I discovered was that even after 10 years, only what mattered was your surname. The entire Youth Congress, for instance, let me just give you one example. We used to feel that, okay, chalo, now the Youth Congress doors are open for us, we'll contest an election. But the election system was so rigged that only a person who had huge amount of financial resources, and that could only happen if you were a second or third generational politician, that kind of person could contest. So most of our youth Congress presidents were somebody's son or daughter. And therefore, he did not make it less feudal. He in fact made the system more feudal, where he would only surround himself with people whose fathers had worked with his father.
So remove your BJP hat for a moment and answer Justice Shehzad. What did you think of Rahul Gandhi then? And what did you think of Rahul Gandhi, not now, because now we know what you think, in 2017 as you get ready to leave the Congress party?
Well, I always thought of Rahul Gandhi as somebody who was saying things, but I was waiting for the delivery of those things to happen. The things sounded very good. He would say that we want a system that allows young people to come in. He would say we want to give an opportunity to people at the grassroots. All of these things sounded very attractive. But was it being delivered within the Congress was always a question mark. And secondly, what I felt of Rahul Gandhi right from 2011 onwards was that he was not accessible. This was something that I felt within the Congress. And most of my colleagues felt that. He was not accessible to us. And perhaps one of the reasons was that my surname was not perhaps, say, a pilot or maybe some other family friend of his father's. Had I been a family friend of his father's, I would have got much more access. And therefore, what I came to believe and see with my own eyes towards the end of 2014-15 was the fact that Rahul Gandhi was not willing to change, and he continues to not be open to change. He may project himself in a certain way, but he is actually not open to that change, and therefore many people after me have left the Congress party as well.
You wanted to actually contest elections for the post of party president.
I didn't want to actually contest those elections. What I wanted to establish was that it was not an election. You can call a Tajposhi an election, it doesn't become an election. North Korea may call itself People's Democratic Republic of North Korea. It doesn't mean that North Korea is a democratic republic. And therefore, what I wanted to establish was that the Congress party was conducting perhaps the most biggest farce in the name of an election in 2017. And it got proven when the entire manner in which the delegates have to be elected. They can't be selected. The state presidents, if they are selecting delegates who are going to vote for the national election, and those state presidents have been selected by whom? By Sonia Gandhi. Who do you think they're going to pick as delegates? Obviously, those people are going to say Jai Rahul Gandhi. So where was the election for the delegates? There were no elections for the delegates.
When you were in the Congress and you still believed in the Congress model, did you ever have a proper conversation with either of the Gandhi siblings?
Yes. I told them that we can't go on with this kind of system. And I also went to the extent of saying that neither of them should play a pivotal role in the Congress party going further.
You said this to their face?
Yes, of course.
What was the context for you to say this?
The context is that if the Congress party truly believes in these large principles that Rahul Gandhi espouses, the charity should begin at home. And how did they respond? Well, the response was that ever since I said that, there was only a manner of distancing me from every platform. It was taken, of course, on the face of it, no politician is going to say, oh, how dare you tell me this. But what they do is that they engineer and orchestrate the entire mechanism to sideline you. And therefore, I'll just give one instance. And I think back then you were working in the TV channel and Sandeep Hookan was your colleague. He filed a story about how there was a training for spokespersons at that point of time. And I was perhaps one of the best spokespersons, but they got my name dropped off. And Mr. Surjewala, lo and behold, his father was a family friend of the Gandhis, and Ajay Makan, who also had family relations with the Gandhis, were the ones who were heading the department.
You used to call yourself a Nehruvian.
Right.
What changed? Or would you still say? Because I don't think Nehru's legacy is owned by any political party.
That's right.
Right?
No,
would you still call yourself a Nehruvian?
Well, I would call myself Nehruvian. I would call myself Gandhian. I would call myself Chandrasekharian. I would call myself Devgaudian. I would call myself Modian. Every prime minister is our prime minister. Why would we disown our prime minister? Should we disown our prime minister? In fact, I think the biggest tribute that has been paid is the fact that instead of making, museums or places for one prime minister, now we have a museum for all the prime ministers.
I ask you this because there's a sense that the BJP or sections of the BJP some of its support base target Nehru. And for someone who used to identify as a
Nehru's not a
Nehru,
holy cow.
no one is a holy cow.
But
no one is a holy cow,
No, but-
in my opinion.
Yeah.
No one is a holy
Yeah,
cow.
so-
In public life, no one should be a holy cow.
No, so there's no problem if sections of, I think everyone should candidly analyze the entire tenure of Nehru, and they should come to their conclusion whether he may have been very good in certain aspects, but he did actually make mistakes and blunders, I would say, when it comes to handling of Jammu Kashmir. He made blunders about how the manner in which he handled China. And it is a fact. And in fact, I was seeing his first interview, the first interview he gave to BBC.
I saw that.
You've
yes.
seen that, right?
Yeah.
It's on social media
Yeah.
these days. Please see the kind of, I would say, naivety he has towards China. He almost is saying that, the Chinese are pretty good to deal with. And I think that naivety cost us. So why shouldn't people from my political party or from any party or from no party at all be able to stand up and question what Nehru did wrong? Is it necessary that the Congress party wants us to do Nehru Chalisa all day long? That's not how it works. In politics, you analyze a person and his contributions. The good things, you celebrate. The things that are mistakes, you must put it out in the public domain.
As Anil Antony left the Congress and joined the BJP, you went on Twitter and you said, go ahead, have your coffee.
Yes.
You went on Twitter and you said, oh, this is just like what happened to me. What was the parallel that you saw in what happened with Anil Antony and yourself?
The Congress party champions itself as this poster boy of tolerance, acceptance. We accept differing views. We tolerate differing views. But it's not so. Anybody who has a view contrary to the view of the first family is immediately sidelined, shown the door, and is treated with a manner of disdain. And this is a problem. Let me give you example after example. Forget Anil Antony. He expressed a view about the entire BBC affair. Isn't it double standards that Indira Gandhi's government had actually banned the BBC?
For 2 years.
For 2 years. The UPA government actually did a survey on the BBC on the same economic or taxation issues that are grappling the BBC right now. When you do it, it is chamatkar. When somebody else follows the law and does it, it becomes, oh no, you're actually trying to stifle their voice, etc. And those who have become the champions of free speech for BBC and their documentary, despite the fact that it did not include the Supreme Court version, not once did they say that let the Kerala files also be shown. On Kerala story or on Kashmir files, they have a completely different take. So having said that, Anil Antony expressed a view. You could have said, all right, that is his view. But you go and start trolling him, people and leaders start sidelining him. Before that also, look at the manner in which Ghulam Nabi Azad was treated. Look at the manner in which other tall leaders of the Congress were treated. And Himanta Biswa Sarma. Himanta Biswa Sarma is a man of exceptional caliber. But if you are going to treat somebody and make him eat from the plate that you offer to your dog, I think that is not we are not here as servants of the first family. We were there to serve an ideology. We were there to serve a party. We were there to serve a cause. We were not there to serve the family. So if the family feels that I am the party and anybody who takes a line against the family is against the party, which you have seen.
But how much space for difference of opinion is there within the BJP?
Oh, lots.
Give me an example.
I can give you so many examples. Mr. Shatrughan Sinha, for instance, he kept criticizing the BJP for so long. Who took action against him? Subramaniam Swamy, who took action against him? Mr. Kirti, they all left the party and they went. They went for greener pastures wherever they felt they had an opportunity.
Some might say that about Anil Antony. Some might say that about Shehzad.
What has Anil Antony got? What has Anil Antony been given by the BJP? Nothing. He's there. He's working for the party. What has he got? No, but let me just complete that thought and then maybe you can move on. So, please tell me, look at the difference in which the BJP treats people who dissent from its point of view. For instance, a Shatrughan Sinha or for instance, a Kirti Azad or Subramaniam Swamy versus how the Congress treats anybody who even says one line different from what the script of the first family is. Immediately, they are discarded as Gaddars the next day. How come they were Wafadar till they were with you
but
and
there's
Gaddar
also
the next
open
day?
rebellion by a Sachin Pilot and Navjot Sidhu. I mean, I can give other examples also from the...
On Sachin Pilot. You know when Sachin Pilot revolted, what did he say? His 3 official reasons were that paper leaks, some issues relating to corruption and the governance issues of Ashok Gehlot. Mr. The in charge of the Congress party in Punjab, I forget his name, the gentleman from Punjab, who is the in charge of Congress party in Rajasthan.
Yeah.
He promptly issued a notice saying that Sachin Pilot is engaging in anti-party activities. This is the official stand of the Congress. So if you're so democratic, then why are you issuing a notice saying that Mr. Sachin Pilot is doing anti-party activities? You should have embraced it. In fact, Mr. Gehlot, on record, put the phones of the Congress MLAs on tap. He admitted this in the Vidhan Sabha of Rajya Sabha. Their Dalit MLA, Mr. Ved Solanki, is on record to say that Mr. Gehlot filed sedition cases and tapped their phones. And those sedition cases, I don't know if they've been withdrawn till now, but in the assembly they have acknowledged that these cases were put against their own MLAs. So much democracy.
Let's talk about ideology. Right? You're Muslim.
Yes.
Let's first talk about how you grew up, what religion meant to you, how much of a part of your life it was. I think a lot of people don't know about your Pune years,
yes.
Right? Let's talk a little bit about that. Then we'll come to the politics.
Well, I come from a family which is basically Shia Aga Khanis.
Yeah.
And the Shia Aga Khani, Shias and Sunnis are different sects in
Of
Islam.
course.
And the Aga Khanis are a subsect of the Shias. It's like there are Bohras who are Shias.
Yeah.
There are the Aga Khanis, there are Nizamis, other sects, subsects in Shias. So I came from that family. And my original surname, a lot of people don't know, it's not Poonawala.
Then?
It is Jamadar.
Really?
Yes. So I'll tell you, my father and his brothers who were there with him, they carried the surname Jamadar. But when my father got into business and he started on his own at the age of 20, 22, whatever. And he at that time, because Jamadar basically means toilet cleaners.
Yes.
So it has a certain kind of connotation with it. So in the business field, he felt it would be better to have a surname. So he took the surname of Poonawala himself.
It was just an acquired surname?
Yeah, it was just an acquired surname.
There's no story behind Poonawala?
No, I mean, a lot of Parsis and Muslims in Pune keep their names after locations or after professions. So you'll have
like Adar and Cyrus.
Yeah, so Adar, Poonawala, or there are a lot of Bohras also who are Poonawalas, and then there are Aga Khanis like us who are also named after our profession or after a location. So you may find a Bandukwala, you may find a Poonawala, you may find a Supariwala. So all these walas are there, right? So my father took this surname, but originally my name is Jamadar, which by the way is one of the is the backward classes. Which would also come under the Pasmandas. So now we used to be a very religiously oriented family. My father was the community leader for the entire country for the Aga Khani sect, subsect. So he was quite a prominent, he was not a religious leader because my community is very business oriented. So it balances both the materialistic and the spiritual. And my father used to head a lot of the affairs for the community and look after all of that. So we were very inclined. My mother is obviously a very practicing religious person. She continues to go to the mosque every day. And when I was young too, I used to go to the mosque every single day. Every day.
Not 5 times a day, but every day.
Yeah, we don't do the
namaz 5 times.
No, we don't do it 5 times a day. But the mosque that we have to go and pray in, we used to go in the evening. So at that time, every day we would go to the mosque. We would have religious classes as well. So that was in the mosque. And basically we grew up, both my brother and me used to go to the mosque almost every day. Fridays were special days, obviously. But we used to go every day. So being a Muslim or my faith is an important part of what has shaped me. But that is not my only identity, because while that may be a matter of choice, actually it's a matter of chance. I was born in a Muslim family. I was born to Muslim parents. But the culture that we have, or my entire community, if you see their cultural practices and their tendencies, there is nothing different from the average Indian practices or average Indian tendencies. And therefore, I identify myself as Muslim by faith, but Indian by culture. So that is what we must realize, that our cultural lineages and our cultural combinations are much more stronger. And therefore, I identify more with my Hindu friend here in India, but I don't identify with somebody in the United Arab Emirates or Saudi.
Obviously.
And therefore, what we need to say is that we are Indian Muslims, and Indian Muslims are a different category of Muslims compared to all the Muslims across the world, because Indian Muslims actually have given a wonderful example of how they can be assimilated and how they can assimilate into a society and become one.
What does religion mean to you today? You as a child, you said that you went to the mosque every day. But then, we all grow up. We have our own relationships with our faith, or we don't. Yeah. What does religion mean to you today?
Religion should be, and I believe is an extremely personal matter. And religion should not interfere with the manner in which you behave in a civilized constitutional manner. You cannot have the leeway to say that because my religion says this, I will not follow the constitution or I will not follow the law. That part of argument can't be made. Religion is something that you practice. You practice at your home. You are very well entitled to carry your religious identity, but that religious identity can't superimpose or be above your national identity and your national...
I agree. I just want to understand what it means to you today.
Well, it means to...
As a young man living in Delhi, not with his mother anymore, right. What does it mean to you?
Well, religion to me means a way in which I know that I have to answer my maker for all the things that I do eventually, and therefore I must be guided upon the right path. And that religion for me, now, some people need to go to the mosque and pray every day. Yeah. Some people go to the mandir and pray every day. And some people don't necessarily go to the mosque and pray every day, but doesn't mean that they don't have a connection with their maker. I think everyone's connection with their maker is an individual connection. And of course, we all believe in God, but how we communicate with God, I don't think that some third party needs to come and instruct me on that. And therefore, religion for me is a very personal, private affair, which I keep to myself.
Your mother, how is she? Your father died when you were how old?
I was 5.
You were 5. How has your mother made peace with the fact that her 2 boys, not just took different political paths, that would be all right, it happens in many families, but that her 2 boys don't talk? Do you talk to your mother?
Yes, of course. I talk to my mother every day, and we share a lot of WhatsApp messages. And so she...
Does she ever comment on your television debates?
Oh, she does. She always does.
And what does she generally say?
She's usually telling me to be more nicer to my elder brother. But you see, I tell her that for me, it is not about A or B or C who's against me in the panel. Yeah. It is about me representing my point of view with the entire amount of passion or the entire amount of commitment that I have. I can't, just because somebody happens to be related to me and is on the opposite side, doesn't mean that I will allow him or give him a leeway to make a point which I feel is patently false. I will counter him. So my mother feels that I should be more generous in terms of letting go of things on air, and I should allow the elder brother to get away with some. But I tell my mom that, even in the Mahabharata, it was essentially fought against cousins. Yeah. If Arjun was not to listen to Shri Krishna, then you would have had the Kauravas win. So for the Pandavas to win, sometimes they have to listen to Shri Krishna and not their mom.
Let's talk about how you used to feel.
But my mom is graduating now, and she's seeing some amount of she's a committed supporter of the Congress party, obviously because Tehseen stays with her, and but she does realize that some things were not right, and that Prime Minister Modi, at least when he's doing certain things when it comes to infrastructure, delivering of social welfare, she does endorse that.
I was just going to ask you that you're such a persuasive spokesperson, but have you been able to convince your mother to change her political
Actually, I don't want to convince her, because I don't think that I need to start converting people everywhere. I think people for themselves experience and they understand that who's doing what for the country. in the last 9 years, if you see the kind of things that have happened in this country, whether it's on the economic front, we've grown as an economy. Our infrastructure is visibly improved. We are building more highways. We are building more networks, digital networks. Money is being transferred through digital transactions, and the entire digital ecosystem that has created, where now when you send 1 rupee, that 1 rupee is reaching the beneficiary. It's not 85 paise, it's not being grabbed by any panja. So, when that is happening, I think people for themselves experience and they are automatically converting themselves. For instance, let me tell you, my mother was most against this use of mobile phones and digital technology, completely against it. She is a traditionalist.
Yeah.
But today she makes UPI payments, she makes digital payments. And that transformation has happened now, and she realizes how convenient and easy it is for so many people. And without me even saying a word to her, she at least endorses that part.
I want to take you back to an article you wrote in 2007. No, maybe not in 2017, but somewhere thereabouts,
Right.
for the Daily O, which used to be an India Today website, opinion website at that time. And you wrote about violence that is associated with cow vigilantism.
Right.
And at that time, you were still with the Congress. You were criticizing a lot of things about the Congress leadership, but you still identified as a member of the Maharashtra Congress. And in that article, you spoke about how disturbed you were at many of these lynching murders that had taken place. You mentioned Junaid, you mentioned Pehlu Khan in Rajasthan, and you spoke about akhlaq.
Right.
And you said how you were very disturbed that the Indian tricolour was draped on akhlaq's murderer in the presence of then Union Minister Mahesh Sharma. I'm quoting from your own article. In fact, you mentioned that you and your brother at that time were in the Supreme Court to ask for a new law to stop this violence. Today, how do you look back? Those incidents happened.
Right.
You felt what you did, right? How do you reconcile to your, to that sentiment with your present position as a BJP spokesperson? Because some of these incidents, right, happened tracing themselves back. At least, as you said, Mahesh Sharma was there when the flag was draped on akhlaq's murderer. He was a senior BJP leader. How do you make peace with that today?
Barkha, have you heard of Khetaram Bhil?
I have. You will tell me.
Yes.
I'm going to wait for you to tell me.
And have you heard of Sushil Giri Maharaj?
No, I haven't.
This is the problem. The problem is that, of course, the lynching of an akhlaq or Junaid or Tabriz is absolutely condemnable. There can be no justification for it. And in a civilized country governed by the rule of law, no lynching should be allowed in the name of any cause. And even the Prime Minister, no less, has spoken about this in very categorical terms when he called out those who by the daytime are something and by the nighttime they transform into something else. No less than the Prime Minister spoke about it. But those who speak about Dalit lives matter. In Rajasthan, the highest number of lynchings and killings of young Dalits by Muslim mobs have taken place. Khetaram Bhil was killed because he happened to fall in love with a Muslim girl. A Muslim mob killed him. Where was the outrage of Rahul Gandhi and company? And I say Rahul Gandhi because he champions these causes usually at a drop of a hat. In Telangana, there's a man called Nagaraju. He married a Muslim woman and the entire family came and lynched him. Where was the outrage? Suddenly, those who are doing Jai Bhim, Jai Meme, when the meme is the oppressor of the Bhim, they suddenly go silent. Or otherwise, they expect everyone to shout out for the meme, which they should, rightly so. There are, and I would hope someday Anand Rangnathan will also be here, and he will tell you there are at least 200 documented instances of Muslim mobs attacking people particularly from the Dalit community and others and lynching them to death. Isn't that outrageous?
Of course it is.
Now, if we were to only focus on only these cases of these 200 lynchings allegedly by Muslim mobs of Dalits and other communities, what would the picture of India be? Just like that, we can't focus on the fact that only akhlaq is being lynched or Pehlu Khan is being lynched. Lynchings are happening to give a law and order issue a color of one community trying to lynch the other. That is what I'm against. And I was against it then also. At that time also we said that don't make this about religion specific.
In fact, your piece...
A transgender is also wrong.
In fact, your piece,
Right,
which spoke about how you want a new law, actually ended with saying that the BJP should support this law because its own RSS workers in Kerala are at the receiving end sometimes of mob violence. So you did make this point then.
Yes.
What I'm saying to you today is that petition, did you step back from that petition in the Supreme Court?
Look, I think that the inclinations of any of these campaigns must be where we treat every lynching as a law and order issue and not as an issue to politicize and communalize. If that is the spirit, I continue to be associated with it. Is that the spirit is the question. Tehseen claims that he takes up all these causes and he does not look at the religion. That may be his stand. But does the party he associates with, or the bunch of politicians who make this an issue, or the people from civil society who hold up placards on a very regular basis, where are they? Where is that entire crowd of people? Today, for instance, what is happening in Bengal? In panchayati elections, not a single panchayati election goes without violence, where people are not lynched and killed. Where is Rahul Gandhi's tweet? Where is the tweet of any of these worthies who want to save democracy? And ironically, in Bengaluru, they will be meeting the same Mamata Banerjee against whom Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary is railing. He's saying Mamata is killing democracy in West Bengal. And in Bengaluru, you're going to save democracy with her.
As a young person...
This is double standards.
And you're right to call them out. But as a young person, how have you over time made peace with the cynical realpolitik that we live with? And you mentioned Mamata and Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary. Your example is on point. Some might turn around and, I don't want to make this overtly about party politics because this is about you, but just to understand how you look at politics. Some might turn around and say the Prime Minister called the Nationalist Congress Party corrupt and now a section of it is with the BJP. What I'm trying to say is the jaded citizen probably thinks ये तो राजनीति में होता है, सबके साथ होता है. All parties for realpolitik come together unexpectedly when they need to.
Well, let me give you a specific example of this, how the Prime Minister is not cut from the same cloth that the rest of them. Pratap Sarnaik, who was with the Uddhav camp, originally in the entire Shiv Sena when it was together, he was one of the leaders who was accused of corruption. It was called the Tops case. Uddhav ji's government, the MVA government was there in power. They filed a C summary report against Pratap Sarnaik saying that he is not guilty of any corruption. It was all a mistake. This was in December 2021. Our government in Maharashtra came to power in June 2022. The cases against Pratap Sarnaik were on. Those who say that we have compromised on corruption in December 2022, and you can fact check this, ED got up in High Court and said the closure report given by the EOW in Mumbai Police is wrong. We are going to continue this case. Which case has stopped when we have, let's say, the allegation is that we've allied with allegedly corrupt people. Can you show me an instance where the cases have stopped? They say about Mukul Roy, right? Mukul Roy was grilled by the CBI when he was our vice president.
So you're saying the cases will continue. I'm saying why ally?
I'll tell you the reason. Because in the heat of political statements, lot of statements are made back and forth. Somebody may call me corrupt. I may call somebody corrupt. The one thing we all rely upon is a court judgment. A court judgment or a court process is at least is an objective parameter on the basis of which then you can decide that, look, at least here, there is a court proceeding. Mr. Uddhav Thackeray, by the way, when he was with us, had labeled Sharad Pawar as Mahabhrasht. How come he went and allied with Sharad Pawar?
I'm saying everybody does it. मैं तो ये नहीं कह रही.
No. But I'm explaining the difference between BJP and these people. Now, on the basis of his statements, he was our ally, he was a senior partner for a very long period of time. Should we not consider his statements to be true when he says that the NCP is guilty of corruption? He then goes and allies with Sharad Pawar. The same Sharad Pawar who says in the name of secularism, I will never ally with Shiv Sena. They had in fact said Shiv Sena is responsible for the Mumbai riots. The Shri Krishna report, Balasaheb Thackeray was put in jail in 2000. It was the Congress NCP government. The two of them ally. That is fine.
No, it's not fine.
It is.
I would ask them the same question. I would ask them the same question.
No, but the point is that we have made statements which are all backed by court of law or proceedings of law. Lalu Prasad Yadav has been convicted 4 times by a court of law.
Yeah.
He's been convicted 4 times. Is there any confusion whether he's corrupt? And those who are facing charges will continue to face those charges. It is not the UPA government that we used to withdraw cases from Lalu when he wants to ally with us, then start the case against Mulayam Singh Yadav ji, then withdraw the disproportionate assets case. Contrary to that, in our government, even if there is an allegation of corruption, it will be investigated. It will go through the process of law. If you are guilty, then you'll have to face the music. If you're not, then you're fine.
Let's talk about how Shehzad Poonawalla.
By the way, may I just add one
Yes.
point? This entire narrative that ED, there is no case on Dilip Walse Patil. He's a founding member of NCP. Why did he come with us? And if Ajit Pawar is so corrupt, as they claim, he's the mastermind of this corruption, why was he the leader of opposition of the entire MVA? तो आप करो तो चमत्कारी और हम उनको ले ले तो भ्रष्टाचार. He's not in our party. He's a separate party. He's there. He's aligned with the government. He's supporting the government. If there is any proof, first of all, you accept that the corruption took place under the Congress NCP government in 2014.
Okay. I want to bring the focus back to you because this is about knowing you inside out, right? We can always talk about politics on our daily shows otherwise. I want to understand how you, Shehzad Poonawalla,
Right.
a Modi critic, becomes a Modi supporter.
Right.
I've understood how you ended up leaving the Congress. Now tell me that leap. How does that leap happen? After all, you could have left the Congress and joined a regional party.
Right.
You ended up with the BJP.
Yeah.
You were a Modi critic. You acknowledged that you were a Modi critic.
Of course.
Right. How does that change happen? What makes it happen? And what happens to you internally for it to happen?
First of all, before I come to answering that question, you have to give credit to somebody like Prime Minister Modi who takes his worst critics and gives them an opportunity purely on the fact of talent, merit, and commitment to a principle. So now you tell me, if I'm a strident Gandhi critic, can I ever be taken in the Congress party? No. But here, somebody who has been a Modi critic gets one of the most prominent places in the BJP, shows that who is really tolerant and who's really accepting and who really has a democratic nature. This has been categorically established. Now let me tell you, I think evolution of our understanding of people and evolution of our understanding of issues is a constant in everybody's life. Let me give you an example. The Barkha, when she was 20 years old, does she have the same view of Barkha of today?
No.
Although Barkha is very young even today.
Not
Maybe
young, but I don't have
just
the same
around
view.
somewhere in 30s. But
Thank you. But
does Barkha of 20s and Barkha of today have the same view
we
on
all
any
change.
issue?
We all change.
But your principles
We evolve. The core remains the same, but
Exactly.
you evolve.
What
the
was
core
my,
doesn't change.
Yeah, absolutely. What was my core? The core was not Modi ji and Rahul ji are personalities. These are two individuals. The core was, whether in Congress or whether in BJP, that merit should be recognized. There should not be a situation of dynasty or parivarvad where you are given a position only because you have a surname. And thirdly, you must have a clear-cut position on what is appeasement and what is actually welfare and what is required for development. These three issues, these are principal issues. I had a similar view when I was in the Congress. In fact, I faced what I faced within the Congress because my views were contrary to what the first family expected of me. Therefore, I was sidelined. And therefore, the principle continues to be the same. Now, I have understood and evolved in my thinking on large number of issues. For instance, when I was back in school, I used to feel, because we used to be taught that communism is a very good way, equal distribution of resources. Everyone felt that was the best way. But by the time I got out of school and I started studying economics in my first year and second year of college, I realized that that is not a model that has survived in any country of the world. Even China, which calls itself communist, is actually capitalist. And therefore, you need a system where markets are allowed to have a kind of place in dominating means of production. So that evolution takes place. Just like our economic philosophy evolves, our philosophies evolve on large number of things. But my principle remains the same.
Which is?
Which is that there should be no compromise on this kind of attitude of merit. Merit should be given the topmost priority. A person should be recognized on merit and talent. That's only when a person who comes from a chai wala background can become the prime minister. If it becomes about this feudal vestige that because you belong to a family, you will get a position, then in that case, then you're not living in a republic, you're living in a fiefdom or you're living in a kingdom.
You know, sometimes I'm asked, will you ever join politics? Would you ever consider politics? And I always say, no, I couldn't do it. One of the reasons I couldn't do it, there are many reasons that'd be terrible, but one of the reasons that'd be terrible at it is that I have individual opinions that I would find very difficult to surrender for a group, a larger group. Have you ever felt uncomfortable? And it doesn't matter, it could be in the Congress, it could be in the BJP. I'm not making this a party-specific question. Where you find yourself just in disagreement with the party that you're representing. What do you do then? It can't be that as a young man, you agree with everything that your party stands for. For example, the government has taken a position on same-sex marriage. I don't know if as a person of your generation, you agree with that position. Do you?
Well, you see, these issues, it is not based on my individual opinion. It has to be accepted by society. And social change takes more time. My own views on the particular subject may be more progressive or maybe more, it may be slightly more different. But when we are running a government and that government has to consider the views of 140 crore Indians. So at that point of time, you have to give society time to evolve. You can't superimpose your individual views on the society which won't be accepted. So therefore, if there is, for instance, I know that a large number of organizations associated with us have changed their positions on so many issues, including the one that you're talking about. The
RSS changed its position on decriminalizing homosexuality, for instance.
So now the question is that should we push society into forcibly accepting our views just because we feel that those views should be the ones? Then I think that is also kind of liberal fundamentalism.
But how does change come?
Change comes by creating the entire ambience for that change. For instance, you can have a situation where you will tell people that don't do corruption. Will that stop corruption? No. So what do? You have a technological interference or intervention where the money is not going through the middleman. It is going directly from the government to the beneficiary. Now, if I was to start telling people don't do corruption, the middleman, if he gets an opportunity to do corruption, he will do corruption. But you create a technological intervention. Similarly, you need to create socio-political and economic interventions that create the right atmosphere in society that the changes can be accepted. See, when sati was abolished, it was done by imposing a law, but that time we were not a free democratic country. It was done forcibly by the British. But today when we live in a society which is democratic, and nobody is democratic. Are you saying that somebody can't have a democratic view against gay marriage? Should they not be allowed to have a view against gay marriage?
No, I mean, anyone can have any view, right? As long as it is not hate speech,
as long,
does not smear a community.
Absolutely. So how should their democratic view also be taken on board? And how should the rights of the community affected also be taken on board? And we come to a consensus where a road can be built, where both sides can agree. That's essentially the art of democracy.
But you sometimes...
No, let me give you one more example.
Yeah.
In America, now the right to abort has been taken away by the Supreme Court.
Yes.
So I am saying that these things are happening in all democracies, and the way forward would be to build a mass of social political thought that supports the change rather than impose the change and then have a reaction on it.
Do you feel uncomfortable, disappointed, I don't know, choose the word you want to, that at the moment the BJP does not have a Muslim member of parliament in the Lok Sabha? Before you give me the Rajya Sabha example that you do you feel at the same time, there's a very interesting outreach going on between the BJP and the Pasmanda Muslim community, which you have actually explained you yourself, if going by your original last family name, would belong to. How do you look at the BJP and its outreach or lack of with the Muslim community?
There might be millions of homosexual people in this country.
Yes.
Does Congress party have any declared homosexual MP?
No.
Does it not represent the rights of homosexuals? Is it against homosexuals?
Not that I'm not a spokesperson for the Congress. So
I'm not asking you as a spokesperson.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't think, right? I don't think so. Similarly, is it necessary that only if my Lok Sabha MP happens to be a Muslim, he will consider or work for the Muslim community?
No, in fact, it's like if someone says only women should be women and child development minister, I don't agree with it.
That's right.
So that point is taken.
But I'll tell you.
But it's not, you're making a clever argument, but not a genuine one, because you know what I'm asking. You know what I'm asking. Let's have a genuine conversation about
I'm having a genuine conversation. Two aspects to this. One, from the first Lok Sabha from 1952 to the Lok Sabha of 2004, and I'm talking about pre-Modi era, because after Modi ji, people think that this country democracy is over in this country. So I'm saying pre-Modi ji era, when democracy बहुत फल फूल रही थी. उस समय पर the population of Muslims was around 12-13%, 14%. The representation of Muslims average in these Lok Sabhas is 5.3%. Who's responsible? BJP. BJP was born in 1980, came into prominence after 98 for the first time, and now into majority government after 2014. Who denied the Muslims their representation? I'm not saying whataboutery that Congress didn't do it. I'm saying why didn't it happen during the Congress years? Congress is the bastion of secularism. Chalo, Congress ke baad there were other parties who claimed secularism. The reason is that, let me give you one more example. In Gujarat, the only time Gujarat has about 10% Muslim population. So if you see in terms of seats, 180 seats in the assembly, you should give 18 to Muslims. The only time Congress party in Gujarat has given above 10 seats to Muslims is in 1995. Modi ji was not on the scene in Gujarat. He came after 2000. What prevented Congress to give 18 seats in every election in Gujarat? Winnability. I am a very talented spokesperson of the BJP. If I get a ticket from the BJP, will I win an election? No, not as of now.
You might.
I don't know.
Would you want to contest? That was going to be one of my questions.
I'm just giving this example for another reason.
Okay.
The reason is that winnability is the ultimate touchstone in a political contest of a democracy, right? We give tickets to people who will win the election. That is the political contest in a democracy. It's a legitimate political contest. You don't give tickets to people who are going to lose an election. Nor does the Congress, nor does the Samajwadi Party, nor does any other party. So in that circumstances, just on the aspect of winnability, obviously you're going to give your most winnable candidate. It is actually the most secular choice that is being made.
But you know, this is the basis on which women have been. Let's pick up another subgroup, women, right? For as long as I've been in journalism, I have seen the story of women's reservation bill. Literally for as long as I've been in journalism. And for decades now, we've heard the same argument about winnability. It's the same argument that's given. I'm just saying there has to be a better way.
No, I think
around this.
I think that the entire parameter to judge inclusiveness in society and in the share of development should not be restricted to whether there is a Muslim Lok Sabha MP or whether there is a minister who happens to be from the Muslim community. The touchstone should be as follows, in my opinion. Mr. Modi runs some of the biggest social welfare schemes. I call him the Messiah of social welfare. When he sends a tap water connection, and he sent 11.5 crores of them to households who didn't have it, does Sultana and Shilpa both get it? Yes. When he sends a toilet to 12 crore people and we become open defecation free, barring a few instances here and there, there might be one or two instances you can pick up. But when we go from that stage where women had to lock themselves up and could not go and relieve themselves for hours, and today they are in a position to go and do that and then spend their time on education, does that not treat Sultana, Shilpa, Mary, Matthew, Mohit, Madhav, Mohammed? 80 crore people got rations. One instance where a Muslim family came to anybody and said कि हमें राशन नहीं मिला क्योंकि मेरा नाम अब्दुल्ला है. Is there an instance of where the 3.5 crore awas that has been given, the house, pakka house that has been given, most of which, by the way, are in the name of women, their ownership has been given so that the women gets a stake in that property. 3.5 crore houses built. Please show me one instance of discrimination.
I take this point.
Taking that point forward, the problem with this narrative is that it is not even about the Muslim representation.
It's not a narrative, it's a question.
It is not.
Do we not want an inclusive parliament? And this is not only about Muslims. I gave you the example of women, right? I would like to see more women in parliament.
But I have another question for you, Barkha, because we're having a conversation, it's not an interview of that sort. Why should only the Muslims be the representatives of minorities in this country? One second. We are the second biggest majority. Are you telling me that Muslims with 15% population, 20 crore Muslims, are considering themselves as minority? Why isn't this question, how many Parsi MPs are there? Minority mein minority. Jain MPs, Buddhist MPs. Why not the question that how many are there from other communities in the minority? Sikh community. Hardeep Puri is a Sikh. He's a cabinet minister with multiple portfolios. Why isn't that said ever? Why was the minority commission chairperson always a Muslim? Now it is Mr. Lalpura, a Sikh. Jain members were not there in the committee, in the commission. Why? And why is it that these communities which are micro minorities like the Parsis or the Jains, one second, then not one Parsi have I met in my life who said that we haven't progressed because we don't have a Parsi minister. In fact, they are foremost, if you see, in per capita income, in education and in all standards. How? Because it is not a function about who's your MP. That system, I'm glad that separate electorates, that I need a Muslim MP to represent me is over. That was Jinnah's thought. This is not Gandhiji's thought at all.
I agree with that. I just leave it wide open for you to think about representation in general. It's not only about, I always say women. I want to see more women in parliament. Tell me how that will happen. Yeah. But let me pick up another thread here.
The women thing.
Yeah.
How many women are editor-in-chief of channels?
Women leadership.
Forget political system.
No, I agree.
Forget political system where winnability on the basis of large number of aspects.
I agree. You are right.
Just on talent. Where are the women CEOs?
You are right.
Where are the women owners?
You are right.
Unless they are daughters of somebody.
You are right. You are right.
So that's what I'm saying. Why is it that a societal issue is then being subtly converted into a political issue and the BJP is being beaten with a stick with it?
I am only asking you, would you like to see, just like I would like to see more women, I would like to see, actually you're right, the examples you've named of Sikhs, of Parsis, I think we have to just think more about how we can, about inclusivity. I don't know the best way to get there, but I think even in our own newsrooms, in our own organizations, we're not as inclusive as we should be, right?
Let me give you an example. I think that rather than force inclusivity from the top, like we always think that a law will come or we give something and then it will become more inclusive. The inclusivity needs to be generated from the bottom, wherein if everybody has a certain amount of socio-economic position and all of them are at a certain level of economic development, then obviously that will allow them more access to opportunity. You don't need to give the person the fish. You need to teach him how to fish. And if he learns that, then the access to opportunity is what you need to create. You don't need to hold somebody's hand and get them into parliament. You need to tell them that here are a set of conditions we are creating so that you have the access to fight an election and be into parliament.
Would you want to contest next? What next for Shehzad Poonawalla?
For me, I am already at the place I want to be, which is to communicate a leader's position and a leader's commitment to the country and his work to the people.
I think a lot of young people would want two questions for you to answer.
Right.
One, who does your research? Because as I said, you are incredibly well researched. Right. So how do you prepare for a television or a broadcast debate?
I have a standard or a parameter that I apply, and I applied it even in my days when I was doing television as an anchor, is that if I have to speak for 5 minutes, I will read for 50 minutes. I will read for 50 minutes on a subject, various points of view, data, facts, etc. And only then I will speak for 5 minutes. So if I go for a set of television debates, I make it a ritual to read and learn everything about the subject before I go for the debate for at least 2 hours. At least 2 hours. And
where do you find these 2 hours in the day?
I'm constantly, right now my phone is inside, but my phone is always on, one phone is always on the news and the other phone is always on the topic that I'm interested in or I feel is going to make news for the day.
But you do your own research.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't take any, because you see, you can't be, we've seen people being instructed even on PC platforms and they're being told what their party position is in the ears being whispered. I'm obviously referring to Jairam Ramesh being a personal prompter for Rahul. But I don't think that works. You need to know the subject in depth. You need to study it. You need to be passionate about it. You need to be hungry to know more about it on your own.
So right now you're happy, but would you want to contest an election?
I would not want to ideally contest any elections because I don't think that I am right now in that space or temperament I'm not a public servant in that sense, because a public servant, those who are serving in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, they are people of exceptional maturity, exceptional caliber, exceptional commitment to the people. Right now, I may have a gift of the gab. I may speak well, I may communicate well, but am I as committed to the cause of public service as our elected leaders? Perhaps if I evolve myself to that level of maturity and commitment, then why not? But right now I'm not there, and I would be very unfair to those 700 or 800 odd talented people if I start throwing my hat in a race where they are more equipped.
Let me ask you this in the end. In politics, like in any other part of life, I think you should be able to disagree and still be friends. Right? Do you have friends across the political spectrum?
Oh, of course. None of my friends are, some of them are, of course, from the BJP, but many of my friends are very stridently against BJP. They're stridently against BJP, but we know that their differences stem from a position of their understanding of an issue. And that doesn't affect my friendship with them. And they also know that what I do is because I believe in a set of principles. And they have seen my transition over the period of years, and they know me as a person. So they don't judge me because I am in the BJP. In fact, they are open to hearing about the BJP and various aspects of the BJP which they didn't know about. So I, in fact, keep them closer because they are my sounding board as to how much of an impact I'm actually making when I'm communicating to them. It's ultimately about converting those people who don't necessarily look at the BJP.
Have you kept any sort of personal relationship alive with the Congress leaders you worked with? You had a particularly vitriolic parting with Manish Tiwari.
Yes.
There were audio tapes that came out of conversations that he was purportedly part of.
Many of them in the Congress. And in fact, I congratulate them, or I wish them on their birthday, they wish me on mine, or if they have written a book, I compliment them, or if there is a program they invite me for, I'm always there. Look, in politics, we are not mortal sworn enemies of each other.
Yeah.
This country has to be run by all of us putting our heads together. This country is bigger than any political party. It is bigger than any political, thought process. And therefore, it is necessary that all of us come together. We can't be divided into Congress states and BJP states, into Congress and BJP ideologies. When we run the country, Prime Minister Modi doesn't think that, because he's a Congress supporter, my scheme won't reach him. Prime Minister doesn't think that, because, this person, this MP, he has spoken against me, so he will not get the MP lad fund. That's not how countries work. That's not how governance works. And therefore, it is a spirit of being able to accept people. And this is there in our scriptures. In our scriptures, we have even accepted and prayed to those who have disagreed with the sacred texts. The entire philosophy of Charvak is about even celebrating those who oppose your most sacred texts. So this philosophy, and I'll tell you, in the BJP, it is such an open democratic spirit. I am just a national spokesperson of the party, but I can tell my national president, I can tell my national leaders anything I want on any policy or other issue, if obviously I have the credibility on that, and they will be happy to listen to me and tell me that where I may be right or I may be wrong. That spirit of conversation then translates into having the same with other political leaders.
If there is one thing that you would want to change about politics, one thing, what would it be?
The one thing I would want to change about politics is that people with this kind of only thing that they have to add is that their family name. And because they come from a particular family which may have done something 50 years ago, because of that, people think that they are entitled to a position in politics. I think that needs to end completely in our system. It's there not just in politics, it's there in Bollywood, it's there in many other places. So it's not exclusively to politics, but I am a firm believer on people making their own mark and their own contribution rather than latching on to somebody's surname and then going forward. And therefore, if you see, I have taken a conscious decision that I will probably never have my own child. If at all, I will have an adopted child. But I don't want that child to, if at all I have reached somewhere in life, to take my name and then go forward. Whatever the child does, the child will have to do on its own. She will have to do or he will have to do it on its own. So that spirit should be there. If the child is good, वो अपना कर लेगा. If the child is bad, सब कुछ करने के बाद भी कोई फायदा नहीं. So therefore this thing that because I am son of so and so, I should get something. This I hate it, and this was the reason I would feel suffocated in Congress, and this is why I feel like I'm blossoming in BJP, because in BJP, even somebody who puts a poster, a booth, and Nadda ji has shared this with me. Nadda ji, he was essentially spent a lot of his growing up age in Bihar. He's swimmer, state level swimmer, very active in student politics, and his journey from putting posters everywhere to the national president of the BJP, it is only possible in the BJP. It is only possible in the BJP and this government that a person who stood outside gate of White House, looking at the White House building, today was received by Joe Biden and Jill Biden at the terrace of White House and addressed the Congress twice. Only in the BJP. Nowhere else.
Well, Shehzad, I was going to say when you were talking that you are an example of somebody who's made it completely on your own without any family patronage. So, of course, it is possible. And may there be more people, I would agree with you on that in principle. May there be more people who are able to make it on their own terms without...
The BJP is the only party that offers this opportunity. Please, and I'm just taking 10 seconds. I know you want to wind up, but please just look at one thing objectively. The RJD, its president can only be from one family. The Samajwadi Party, only from one family. The TMC, I think only from one family, no other family. Uddhav Sena, only from one family. And the Congress now may have put Mr. Khadge forward, but we know who controls all the affairs. It's only one family. It is only the BJP that no matter which family you belong to,
the communists,
it does not... Sorry?
I'm just thinking, the communists...
Well, I was very upset when Mr. Karat and his wife both were in the Politburo. So where have they stood on their principles? And therefore, it is only the BJP for all people of my generation and the generation after me, I think Gen Z, the only place where you can actually have your talent result in something concrete is the Bharatiya Janata Party, and it is evident. Look at our list of presidents. Neither is somebody's son nor is somebody's son or daughter guaranteed a place in the presidency of the party just because they happen to be somebody's son or daughter. This is only possible in the BJP. The BJP is that platform of aspirational India that no other party can actually be.
Well, we wish you the very best. Look forward to having you on our program again, and look forward to the incredible memes that I know will also be cut by our loyal fans from this conversation. I think we must all be able to take a joke or two about ourselves. Thank you very much, Shazad. All the best.